Well, I can go ahead and get started and just give you a little bit of an overview into PolicyMap and what it is. There are many, or not many, but there's several data visualization tools and mapping tools. Um, with many of them, it does require some special training, and often users need to take a class on how to use the software before they even can get in there and get to the information that they're looking for. PolicyMap is actually a tool of Reinvestment Fund. Reinvestment Fund is a community development financial institution located in Philadelphia, and it's a tool that was created out of necessity to do research on the communities that Reinvestment Fund was making investments into. They're basically a bank that is there to do good and provide funding for projects like education, um, supermarkets, into food deserts, to low-income housing. And so it was a tool to really get down to a very granular level within a community to see what was happening. And you'll see that that really is reflected in the data. If you have questions about what data is here for PolicyMap, we are extremely transparent, and we provide you with a complete list of all of our data and give you information on how far back the data goes and how granular it is, so whether or not it's available down to the block group. John and I just returned from ALA Midwinter in Denver, and we did get a lot of questions about PolicyMap. And one of the most frequently asked questions I had is, oh, is it all public data? It is public data, but it is public data in addition to private data. And also, we have a data team located here in Philadelphia who is curating the data, standardizing the data, cleaning it up, and getting it up as quickly as possible. In fact, we have many government agencies that come to PolicyMap because they are able to get all of their data in one place and in a very clean and good format. Another great thing is that our data is available to, or our data team is available to answer questions and help any of our subscribers. So if you have a question about what types of data is here, you can just link into this data directory. It's going to tell you what's there, where it's coming from, whether or not it's from the census, whether or not it's coming from the National Center for Educational Statistics. If you're looking at specific health data, again, we do try and be extremely transparent and tell you exactly where the data is coming from and how you'll be able to view that data as well. You'll note also at the top of this page, you have the ability to download a complete spreadsheet. So if you're a librarian like I am, you are a data junkie and you like to look at data and see what's there, you can download this spreadsheet that will give you every last detail about our data. Another web page I wanted to point you to was our academic web page. And from here, you are able to get some insights into exactly how other universities are using PolicyMap. We are being used quite extensively within the public health realm. We're being used in sociology. There is a professor from the University of Delaware who is using PolicyMap to teach a class on environmental injustice. So he's looking at things like brownfields and overlaying that with our socioeconomic data, so that you can, see how one thing affects the other. So take a look at this page because there's some really good examples. One of the schools that we work with is Seton Hall University, and I'm going to have some really exciting news about one of the things that we work with them to develop that is being launched next month. And that will be of special interest to especially Aaron, who supports the health sciences. So I'll talk to you about that once we get to the actual map. In addition, we have a blog, webinars that you can attend online twice a week. And we have some, recorded sessions of training and how to use some of our features. So don't worry if you don't hear everything I'm saying today. we have a great library of information online. But here, if you take a look at this, there's some great stories about things that you can map. Mapping the Meals on Wheel eligible populations, mapping poverty, mapping opioid awareness, the geography of grandparent caregiving. There's a lot of really great stories in here, and these maps tell great stories. And we have lots of information on how to download the data or the maps that you are able to create using PolicyMap. Here's a great customer story, and that is Baylor University actually used PolicyMap to find locations where they could set up diaper banks. They looked at mapping areas where there's a large number of young mothers living in poverty, and then they mapped the supermarket set that we have available through PolicyMap, and they used it as a very useful tool to figure out how they can help the community around them. So it's one of our great stories. I mentioned that we do have quite a bit of support. So a lot of this information is available online. Maps, how to create maps, tables, reports, creating 3-layer maps so that you can find hotspots for specific areas. We also have the ability for you to upload unlimited amounts of your own data. So some schools might upload information like where their alumni are and figure out where they're going to do outreach or marketing. And in addition, you can download our data and use it in other mapping or presentation tools. So keep in mind that that's the functionality. So with that being said, I'm going to go directly into the map page or our main page. We are a benefit corporation, PolicyMap, and one of the things about being a benefit corporation is that we do have a social mission, a mission to do good. And because of that, we do have a free and public version of PolicyMap. It is not as robust and does not have all of the functionality, but you are able to go in and create maps, the general public. So keep that in mind. Okay, so this is the main page of PolicyMap. And if I am going too fast or talking too much, certainly stop me. I apologize. I tend to be a fast talker. Here is our main page, and here are the main functions of PolicyMap. So you have the ability to create maps, tables, reports, 3-layer maps, and then there's the data loader. From here, you can search for any geography within the United States. If I do a search, it's going to do the search for the entire United States, but I can really zero in. So if I wanted to go directly to Minneapolis, I am going to be able to zero in directly down to the city and all the way down to the block level. So here we are. And I also can search if I know the actual census tract or if I'm in supporting education. I can do searches by school district, or if I'm looking at political science, I can look by congressional districts. So keep that in mind. We also have this neat little data button so that if you know we have a particular data indicator, either a data layer or a data point, you can search and find that with this data button. And I'll show you how that works. But to do a search in PolicyMap, it's really quite simple. You click on the area of interest. I'm going to go to demographics if I'm looking for something as simple as information on race. If I want to take a look at the non-white race, I simply click and it brings up the map. If I click on a specific block group, it's going to tell me the actual percentage. It's going to allow me to see the amount or the percentage for each one from the block group up to the census tract all the way up to the national level and make those comparisons. I can also play with the legend as a subscriber and decide if I wanted to look at maybe just the past 5 years, if I want to look at the past 10 years. And I can change my variables if I wanted to actually look at numbers or percent changes. I can do that as well. and I can change how I'm shading this. I can even go in here and I can change my ranges and colors. So if you don't like PolicyMap purple and orange, you don't have to live with PolicyMap purple and orange. So you get the idea. If I click on any one of these, here's a really interesting map that maybe I show too often, but I think it's just very pretty. This is a neat map taking census data, and our data team went in there and they decided to map the predominant language spoken at home that didn't include English or Spanish. And it's a way for you to see exactly what enclaves or what other languages are being spoken in a specific area. So right here by Loring Park, it looks like it's Russian. Over here is Hindi. And you get the idea that you can go in and find different bits of information that you didn't quite know that you could find. For demographic data, you can even find information about foreign-born individuals. If you wanted to see where people who were born in, let's say, Afghanistan or India are living within a city or anywhere in the country, because you can zoom out all the way to the country. And hopefully this speeds up a little bit. You can pull that up. And I'm not sure. Here we go. That should work, I think. Come on, PolicyMap. All right, I'm breaking the system. Oh, here we go. So this is interesting. So it pulls it out, and you'll see if you go all the way out, you can see this on a national level too. So it's just very interesting. So whatever search you're doing, you can do for any place. And you can find pockets. All right. So let me just go through some of these data layers a little bit so you can see exactly what's here. We have data related to income, data related to people in poverty. Our data team and our sales team does sit down periodically and talk about what requests we're getting and what things we might want to add. So if you ever have ideas, you should always let us know. There's information collected from federal tax returns. We also have information about from the Gini index. So again, if I just wanted to look at Minneapolis, I can spell it correctly, I can zoom in, and this is by census tract. And again, I can pull out, and hopefully you all can see this, the detail for the Gini index of income inequality. So now if you don't know what the Gini index is, the great part here is that you can click here and get a full description of exactly what it is and how it's calculated. And that way you have a very good ability to see exactly what the data is that you're pulling out. So as I mentioned, we do try and be extremely transparent about where the data is coming from and how it's recorded. Down here on the bottom too, you'll note that we do have information on citing as well. So we all like to make sure that whoever's pulling down our research is citing it properly. So now here there is information related to housing, home values, vacancy rates are here as well. Information about mortgages and mortgage loans and where small business loans and small farm loans are. In addition, there are data points that have to do with banking and community development financial institutions. And here's a neat little data set, and these are the historical homeowners loan corporation risk maps. So these are the red line maps that you might be familiar with from the Great Depression. PolicyMap is really just current data, but this is one set of data that is actually historical, where you're able to overlay these risk maps with actual data. So if you wanted to see where people are living in poverty and how this was historically predicted back in the 30s, that's very interesting, I think. Okay. So let's get into some of the areas that I know you mentioned that you were particularly interested in. I just wanted to show you that in quality of life, you're going to find information about related to crime and broadband internet access, access to transit. There is also information about access to food and healthy foods, and whether or not you are living in a food desert. So this is going to be some of the data that's extremely important to your public health curriculum. So some of those behavioral risk factors and other factors that affect health. Including economic data, and here's education data. So once again, I know that we were looking before at, and you're the specialist for education. Here's data for enrollment, public and private school or nursery school. Here's educational attainment data. If I'd wanted to see where there are people, a large number of people with less than a ninth grade education, I can pull this out. I can zoom out. If I have a particular area that I'm interested in here, and once again, I pull up the numbers, the percentages for each one of those areas, and I have the comparisons as well. In addition to this data layer, I can look at things like school performance. So this is data coming from great schools, and I can filter out this data by rating or the type of school that is there, and I can see where the red schools are with the lower ratings, and I can see where the green schools are that are, and the blue schools that are a little bit better. And for each one of these data points, I can click on that data point and find out exactly what that is, what school it is. And all of these tabs are here with lots of great information. So scores broken out by grade. We even have data in education related to the public and private schools and discipline records and things like that. So some quite extensive education data. If I go into the health data, this is some of the area we're really growing in. We have a lot of great and interesting data. So I can take a look at chronic conditions, and just as an example, we have two types of data related to asthma or collected from two different places. One is the CDC BRFIS data, and that's down to the block group, and also the CDC 500 cities data. And 500 cities is a joint project between our parent reinvestment fund and Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and the CDC, obviously. If I take a look at this, I can really zoom in and find the percent of adults who have asthma down to the census tract. So in this area, 14.6, and then across the highway, 18.1. I can look at lots of other different types of conditions and diseases, and I can also, in some cases, for instance, with cancer, we're going to have the breakout by race or ethnicity. Additionally, there's going to be data related to the perceived health status, vital statistics, morbidity and mortality rates, access to health care, and access to medical care. One of our newer sets of data is access to nurse practitioners and midwives, and that was just added within the last week. So lots of great data being added. In addition to this, we have all these data points. So if I'd wanted to see where the community health centers are and lookalikes, we have these data points. Now, here's something else that will be of interest to you, and that is, I'm not sure if it was on your screen, but you can draw an area on a map and save that information for the area that you've drawn. So I can create custom regions. I can either assemble them, I can do a radius around a specific area, or I can draw that area on a map. So I'm going to go ahead and draw an area. Let me pull this over here. Maybe I want it to save this section. Oops, oh no, what did I do? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Here we go. I hit a button that I shouldn't have. I hit PolicyMap. Come on. And I'm just saving this off the gun around Minneapolis. Save. And you'll see that we have this little area that we've created. For here, I can download the data from here. I can see a list of the community health centers and lookalikes in the area that I drew on. And I can download this data directly to here. So this allows me to go ahead and download it. There are other ways that you can download your data. And you'll note in the upper right-hand corner, we have a print feature. And let's do a really pretty map. Let's reset our map. Let's do this location. And I'm going to show you that you can create custom regions in another way. So let's reset this. And I'm going to just go into Minnesota. And I'm going to create assemble a custom region. I'm going to need to zoom in. I'm going to do it by county. And we'll do it maybe for, let's see. Am I going too north? I'm going too north. Here we go. Sorry, guys. So we'll do Hennepin. And tell me if I'm pronouncing everything wrong. Is it Anuka? St. Paul? Right? Sherburne? And I can save this region. Counties, surrounding, and then save. And now I have this region, and I can save this permanently. So hopefully when you log into your custom trial site, you see that you do have the ability to save your work privately, and you don't need to share it with anyone else. If you take a look right here in the upper right-hand corner, you do have a place to save your data and save your work. So keep that in mind, that you can save your own regions, you can save your work, you can save your maps. And and you're able to do that, and you can even share it with other users if you're collaborating with someone else on a project. So here I'll do a quick search, and maybe what I want it to see is access to farmers markets. And this is actually only on the state level, so let's do something different. Let's do perceived health status. And we're going to look at very good and excellent. And for here, once again, we can take a look at estimated numbers. We're going to take a look by county subdivisions. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And if I have questions about how this data was collected and where it came from, I pull it up from there. If I wanted to add my data points, I can maybe take a look at community health centers, mental health treatment facilities. And from here, I can filter that out. Treatment approaches, age groups served. But you'll notice that I can either print and download this data as well. The print has been greatly enhanced, and it's a very high quality image that you can download for your use in reports, or you can actually, within here, pan in or zoom in, and you can play with the title and legend, and it can be brought into PowerPoint or Word documents or any documents that you want. So keep that in mind. You also have the ability to download this data. And from this download feature, you can download your layers with your points or both together. And then you can choose your locations. You can choose any of your saved ones, or you can choose your custom regions. And then you can download this data together. And you can save your work, as we mentioned. You can also share this work. I have a custom region, so you can't do that, but you can always create a map and save it on your library, or publish it on your library website or within your social media. So keep that in mind. So that, in a nutshell, is the mapping feature. You'll note, though, that there's lots and lots of different data layers and pieces of information within here. There's also always some quick maps that you can take a look at. So if I quickly just wanted to find what percent of the population 35 to 54 is lacking health insurance, I can always do this quick map and it will pull it up for me. So you might want to root around and take a look at some of this. In addition, there are some analytics that come directly from Reinvestment Fund in our policy group. So information about distance to the nearest high-performing public schools, distance to mass transit. Okay, so you get that. Now, in addition to maps, sometimes a good way to look at all of this data is in tables. So if I was going to do a search, but I wanted to take a look at this in table format, I could simply go in and choose any geography that I wanted. So you'll notice, number one, there are rankings, and right now we're looking at counties surrounding. We're looking at the state of Minnesota, but maybe I just wanted to look at specific cities. So I can take a look at Minneapolis, and I can take a look at St. Paul, and I can take a look very simply at Rochester, making sure I'm getting the right Rochester. And I can take a look at Bloomington. Oops. And you see that you can simply go in here and make comparisons and create tables and pull that up pretty quickly. Here I'll put in Duluth, and I can pull this up. And this is available for any of the indicators that you see available up at the top. So if what I wanted to do was maybe take a look at Lyme disease, I can even just search. Okay, and here's the rate of Lyme disease per 100,000 people, 2016. So I can change the data set that I'm looking at as well. And of course, it's not available for Minneapolis. So I think this is actually county level, and that's why I'm not pulling this up. I made a mistake with that. So if I wanted to do this for, let's see, there's usually an explanation for why something bombs out, and I just gave you a good example. So I could take a look at Ramsey. There we go. Now I feel better. And I can take a look at Hennepin. And I can take a look at Dakota. And quickly and easily create this. And we're going to take out the city. Yeah, I can look across years and create and get the data and get the bar chart. And I can even change between rate and number. So it's really relatively simple to go in there and pull out this data and view it within a chart and put it into tabular format and download it as well. So that's how you use the table feature. The next thing I'd wanted to share with you, and Aaron, this is something that I'm hoping that you're going to be particularly excited about, is that we have these great reports. And not only Aaron, but Ann and Kim and Mickey, if you're still there. But if you go in here, you can, for any geography or for a radius around any geography, create a community profile report, a rental housing report, a home mortgage disclosure report, or a home sale report. However, in March, we are going to release a brand new report called a community health report. And we worked with some of our universities that have public health programs and health administration programs to come up with the data that we had that they needed to use within their community health needs assessment. So I'm going to just show you, very simply and easily, we'll do a community health report for, we'll do Duluth. You can do this by zip code, you can do it for a radius, for whatever you want, but you just put in your geography and you click on Generate Report, and very simply and easily, you are able to pull up all of this underlying data and pull it into a PDF report. So you have information about the population trends, the racial characteristics, the age distribution, income level, immigration data, family and household data. You'll have information about housing type, vacancy rates, employment data. As soon as we do get this data, it is loaded, so we do try and be as timely as possible with this. A breakout by industry, so you get a real snapshot of the community that you're doing. You can see where this would be tremendously helpful for grant proposals or for your public libraries or administration to see exactly what's happening within a community. And I do have a mock-up of the community health report that I'd like to show you. And here is one that was created for the city of New Brunswick, New Jersey. This is actually better than our community profile report, and our community profile report will soon be improved to reflect the changes and upgrades we've done here. So at the top, you'll see that we have these menus that you can click down directly to information about population, healthcare access, health behaviors, general health, and also within the report, you can download this data and these pictures, and you can save this data from within here. So it's not just simply a PDF document, but it's a document where you'll be able to pull out all of this great information. Not only on population, but here we go, and we have information about healthcare access, access to insurance. We have medically underserved areas that comes from our policy group. We have information from CDC, the birthist data, and the 500 cities data.
Excuse me, Betsy.
Yeah.
We're not seeing what you're talking about. We're still seeing the community profile report. I don't know if it might be because your GoToMeeting is selected just to show your browser.
You are right. So I'm so sorry. That's horrible.
No problem. No worries. We've all done it.
So let's see. I need to wait. Let me figure out how to show you this. What did I do? Screen sharing. And I went to main screen. Okay. I am so sorry. That's embarrassing. Thank you for speaking up and telling me what I was doing. So, can you see this report now?
Yes,
okay.
We see it now.
Okay, great. So this is what I was speaking about. This is the community profile report that will be launched next month. So you'll see, as I was discussing before, that you'll be able to download and also pull out the images from within here and pull out the data from within the report. So I was speaking about the medically underserved areas, disease screening and prevention, all tremendously useful to a nursing program, to public health courses, to sociology programs, and any type of data analytics class that's looking at this data. So I believe you have a criminal justice program and a social work program. I think this would be of interest to the faculty and students within those programs as well. So look for this to happen in March. And we are very excited about it. And we're very excited to see all of our reports become this beautiful too. So let me go back to PolicyMap. So we've talked about maps, tables, reports. 3-layer maps is another piece that we haven't really talked about. But a 3-layer map, as you would suspect, will show you a hotspot, or it's going to show you an area where your criteria is met. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do, let's take a look. We have all of our colleges and universities on here. And if I do a search for Walden, I can do a search, I can look for the area around Walden. You'll notice too, I have the ability to see a radius report or download data for that area around Walden here. But maybe I want to take a look at the demographics or find out what's happening around your campus. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a look at, let's see, where there's a large population of people between the age of 18 and 34. And you'll notice that everything is purple because right here we're looking at everything between 0 and 100%. So I can take a look, and maybe I'm just looking where there's at least 20% in between, and between 18 and 34. In this case, maybe I want to take a look and see where there's at least 40%. So I can play with these values. And then maybe I wanted to see incomes and spending. Where is there, within this group, an area where people's per capita income is between $6 and $25,000. And again, I can play with these. I can either use the slider, and it looks like I went a little too steep. So this area over here, we've got an area of, or a group where the per capita income is about 19,000 or about 20,000. And then maybe I want to take a look at education and educational attainment, and I'm looking for high school diploma or more. And again, I can play. The purple areas are showing where everything, all the criteria is met. If I wanted to play around with this, I can slide it over. And maybe I want it to just have, let's see, between 10%, over 10% of the population has at least a high school diploma. So you see that I'm able to see where the areas are met on the map. And it also gives me all the figures if I click on any one of those census areas or census blocks. So that's how you create a 3-layer map. And really the different ways that you can look at data are, it's just as innumerable as your imagination. So you can go in and figure out how you can really zero in and find specific things. So the final thing I wanted to show you, and I'm not going to actually go through the process of doing it, is that you do have a data loader. And from here, you can upload unlimited amounts of your own address level data via a spreadsheet, or you can add points directly on a map. And you also have the ability to upload these and access these data sheets. So you can go ahead and look at this, or you can go back to your saved data and look at different factors or indicators above those. So if I wanted to look for all the Fortune 500s, and this is old, I can take a look at my data sets. And it's going to load it on the map for me. So you can save your old data, you can upload your own data, and there's set no limit on that. And some schools have even used this as an inexpensive geocoder if they needed to find the latitude and longitude for specific points, data points. So hopefully you see how simple that is. And we can, take a look at what's there in Minnesota. And we find this little area around Minneapolis, St. Paul. And I can pull that out. So that is the data loader. And we have lots of tutorials and we have lots of help if you ever have questions about using the data loader. So I feel like that was the Evelyn Wood version of PolicyMap, but I hope I gave you a good overview of exactly what's there and how it's being used and why it's being used in different universities. Hopefully you'll take these next couple of weeks to explore, and that you will let John and I know if you have questions about the data and about our functionality. We'd be more than happy to answer those questions, but also we'd love to hear your feedback too. So certainly, let us know what you're hearing and if there's any way that we can possibly help you during this period. So,
Betsy, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Do you have any pre-built templates that we can send to faculty and ask them to look at specific parts of this and tell us what they think?
By pre-built templates, do you mean?
Like to send an email to faculty that just
Oh,
outlines
sure.
the
Yes,
basic
as a matter of
concepts.
fact, I do. I have like an announcement
Okay.
email template that you can send out that will, give an overview of what PolicyMap is and how it's used. Would that be helpful?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Who should I send that to?
I'm Julie.James at mail.walden.edu.
Was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that well. Julie James?
Yes, Julie.James.
J-U-L-I.
Otherwise,
Yes.
Betsy, if you just want to go ahead and send that to Mickey Scholl too, that will work, and Mickey can distribute it out to everyone.
Okay, that's good too, because I know I have her email correct, so that'll work. All right. So thank you so much for your patience with me as I wasn't showing you the whole thing. We are recording this session, so you can share it or review it. And certainly we're available to answer any questions that you may have. And if you would need to, or if you would like to speak to librarians at other schools who could answer questions as well, and they might be a little less impartial or a little less or a little more objective, I'd certainly be happy to provide references. Okay?
This was great. Thanks so much, Betsy.
You're welcome. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Have a good day, guys. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.